بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ من الله. اللهم كن وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ولينا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك كوها وتمتعه فيها قليلا. Just some quick reminders. There have been some questions that have been coming through, and it will be good to reply them from here. Well, first of all, it's the sacred month of Ramadan, and just a quick reminder about this month of Ramadan, that never say Ramadan only. Ramadan is the name of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and in the ahadith and riwayat ma'sumin, they have asked us never to say just Ramadan. When you want to say the month of Ramadan, Shahru Ramadan, or Shahrullah, or the blessed month, the Mubarak month, like that. So that is the teaching that we have been taught to address the month as the month of Ramadan. That's one. Secondly, now those of the mu'mineen who cannot fast due to long-term illnesses, for them fast has been waived. They don't need to fast, but they need to give a little penalty, which is $1 per fast, and that way they can skip the fast again. So that $1 has to be paid as the penalty for each fast which they will not be observing. So for the month they pay $30 as the penalty for not fasting, as a fidya, and then we're okay. And the other thing is that if, due to whatever reason, if a person is traveling, or if he is ill, or due to the long-term illnesses, he cannot fast, the teaching is that the month, it is a blessed month. The month itself has a sanctity, has a hurma which needs to be observed. So if a person is traveling, or if he is not fasting, it doesn't mean that you just be as you were throughout the year. That month has to be observed. The respect and the sanctity of the month has to be observed, so that at least openly eating and drinking is not done. So that is again another small reminder that a respect to the month, just abstain from eating, drinking, smoking, whatever it is, if you are not fasting due to whatever reason, but the sanctity of the month be observed. The other question was, when joining the Jamaat in prayers, so it may so happen that the Imam might be a bit slow, or he might be a bit fast, and you may result in making up more sajdas or more rukus, etc., or you may recite a bit more than the Imam. So what is going to happen? The prayers are fine. Although a rukun has been added to your prayers, which is ruku, although you've made up extra sajdas, doesn't matter. For the Jamaat prayers, everything is waived because you are in the Jamaat. So if your intentions were to do a lot of mustahabat in the prayers and you couldn't do it, because you are in the Jamaat, again, that is all compensated. The reward that is given for the Jamaat prayers, it's huge and so vast that whatever you had in mind, your intentions were, all of that will be given to you just for that congregation and the Jamaat prayers. So the prayers, if anything was added on to them, may that be a rukn, may that be anything wajib, again the prayers are okay. And again, the other thing was regarding mahram and non-mahram, which we talked about yesterday. There is a set of people who are mahram to you, that is, you cannot marry them. There are a set of people who are not mahram to you. So there are those whom you can marry. Again, there are these wrong misunderstandings with regards to the non-mahrams. I'll just specifically tell them who they are. For example, chachi, momani, khalu, puppa, all of these are non-mahrams. So, if it's your uncle's wife, may that uncle be maternal or paternal, that's going to be non-mahram for you. If it's your aunt's husband, again that is not mahram to you for the men. And again, that aunt, may that be your mother's sister or your father's sister, their husband, he is not going to be mahram to you. And again, when it comes to Jade, they were the husband's brother, may that be the elder brother or the younger brother, again, they are not mahram to the wife. And the Samdis again, Sadi, although they say that it's Adi Gharwadi, but still she is So, Jiju and Jija and all these, they are not mahram, so you have to observe that hijab from these individuals at all times. And again, if they don't observe hijab, you have to protect your eyes from them. The other question was regarding traveling and hometowns. So it may so happen, it's the ruling of the Mujtahideen, they allow you to have more than one hometown. For example, if you were born and raised in this city, that is your hometown, you move to another city and you intend to settle there for long term, again that will be your hometown again, your second hometown. So if you stay there, you have to have your prayers full and your fasts observed. And if you travel back to this place and you haven't abandoned the city as your hometown, again you will have to offer your prayers in full, and fasts also have to be observed. If a daughter gets wedded and moves on to her husband's house, and that is going to be in another city or another country, again, if she hasn't abandoned the father's house as her hometown, that will be her first hometown, and the second hometown will be the house which she is going to be living with her husband. So it's more than one hometown, and that is permitted by the Mujtahideen in addition to the hometown where she has been raised and brought up.
Maulana, can you clarify what you mean by abandon?
Abandon? Abandon means that i'raz kar diya. For example, if you were living in Hyderabad once upon a time, long ago, and you don't intend to go back to that place.
So there has to be a niyyah involved.
Niyyah and your practice. So that is your niyyah, your intention, that you don't intend to go back, so you have abandoned that hometown, so you can make another place as your hometown plus another place. So sometimes they say 2 or 3 can be your hometowns, which will be your places where you live. Your fasts will be valid, your prayers will be full. Coming back to our topic, and that is on the ascension to prosperity. Now, among the creations that Allah has, He's got a creation called the angels. He has a creation called the jinn, made of fire. He has a creation called the man, the human being, made up of clay. So it's these 3 creations. He has maybe many more. Now, out of these 3 creations, man is that creation who is a substance or a compound of a body and a soul, which was mentioned yesterday. And the whole idea is that we correct the soul or purify the soul in a way that it connects back from where it has come, that is from the watan or the hometown which it has originated, and that is the existence of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So the hometown of this soul, of this nafs, is Allah, as we say, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And when we talk about this subject about ma'rifatun nafs, knowing your soul, it is to know that from where it has originated, where is the destination, what is it doing here. So all these questions, if you analyze them, answer them to yourself, you will come to know the soul up to a certain extent. Now many a times you find people who are so pure and so noble that for them the higher and higher ranks of elevation is easy. Among them that could be named, it's Marhum Ayatollah Khonsari, among the great ulama of the past century, and it was as such that the last week of his life, he was very ill. And people, they used to come to visit him. So the wife, the children, they used to show the people, the guests who were coming in to visit. And when they had left, they knew who came to visit and who has left. once in the morning, the wife, she says that we hear someone is in the guest room with the Ayatollah Ansari, but no one knocked the door and no one opened the door from the house, from the family members. But he was talking to someone, there was a lengthy conversation, and we said we don't want to disturb them, let them leave and then we can ask who it was. And after he had left, when they hear that there is no conversation anymore, she goes and asks the husband, who was he? How did he come in? He never knocked, nor did we open the door. And in reply, he says that that was Malakul Maut, the angel of death. But he doesn't need any permission, he comes when he wants. And then he says that don't worry, he did not come to take me. He just came to visit me because I was ill. And then he said that a week from today I will come again, but to take you. So how come people come to these high ranks when angels, they frequent with them, angels, they come and go with them. Now with regards to the Aimma, if you look into Ziyarat Jami'at al-Kabira, they say that the angels, they frequent with the Ma'sumin. Or Surah Al-Qadr says that the angels and the Ruh, they descend onto the pure heart, where that is the heart of the Imam of time. So, because he is all purity, the angels are all pure, they need a runway to land, and that is that pure existence of those pure people. So, purity attracts. To whatever level a person purifies himself, he attracts all that purity from the unseen. Among them are the angels. So if someone frequents with Malakul Maut, if someone frequents with Jibreel, if someone frequents with all of the other angels, it's not something to be amazed. That is the reality, that is the fact. Or we could say that by default, those are the settings, because man, by default, he is created all pure, because the soul is all pure, and that attracts purity, and the angels and all those are the purity. The hadith that was recited yesterday said that man arafa nafsa faqad arafa rabbah, that whosoever knew himself, knows himself, he has indeed known his Lord. That is, if we come to know ourselves, it will be easier for us to know Allah. So recognition of the body is not being meant over here, because recognition of the body is something which is even known to birds, to animals, to everything. They know their body much better. And again, if you see the sayings that we have from Ma'ashameen, the Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, says that خلق الإنسان ذا نفس ناطقة, that is, man has been created possessing a soul with which it could perceive the unseen. So that is, we've got a shell which is the body, we've got a soul which is inside the body, or we've got a soul which navigates inside that too, which is the body, and that is that nafs, that is that soul. And it was mentioned yesterday that in Quran, whenever we have soul, nafs, qalb, fu'ad, ruh, aql, all of them mean the same thing, which is the soul. So the reality, the make and the haqiqat of man is that a soul and a body, that what excels man or makes him superior among all of the creations is not this human form of the body of his, but it's that nafs, that substance of which it's the same that with which the angels have been created. So the soul of man has been created with the same substance with which the angels have been created. Now this body that has been given to us by Allah Ta'ala is that right which the soul uses in this world. And the soul has come from the real world, and that real world is that hometown of this world, of this soul. This dunya where we are living in that is not the hometown. Now many a times we are mistaken. We are travelers. That soul is a traveler. This world, this 70, 80, 100 years of life that we are living in over here, we are just here on a transit basis, and the destination is back where the hometown belongs. Or in easier words, we could say that this soul has been sent by Allah, given to us on this ride, which is the body, and this soul, it has come from there to this world to make a future, to make a merchandise, or to look for a job, to make some money, or to make that possession, that gathering, so that it can go back and invest it in the hereafter, in that hometown, which is the hereafter. So, what is that investment it needs here? It is all that sifat hamida. It is all those praise, ranks and ethics which a person needs to acquire and put away everything which is wrong, which is contamination, which is filth. Now when we say this, it doesn't mean only those few sins that we are aware of. Now that is what we know, all those things that are haram, everything which Allah has said to do. For example, if a person doesn't pray, that is another contamination to the soul. If hijab is not being observed, that is another contamination to the soul. If it's being observed, but there are lustful sights, again that is wrong, which contaminates the soul. The hearing, again, if it's swear words, saying the swear words, or listening to the swear words, or even chatting on IM with swear words, that is also the same sin. So although we haven't said anything, we haven't heard anything, but using our fingers for that filth, again, it has done the same job. It's done the same sin. So we have to be careful that although sins may not have been uttered or committed by the tongue and the ears, but still the fingers are doing the job. So that is something we have to be careful when we talk about contamination and sins. Everything is counted as contamination, and all of this filth, when it gets along to the soul, it makes it heavy, it makes it burdened, and it wouldn't let it elevate and fly. So, nafs, so it's an existence that is baqi, that will live forever. It never perishes. So if you look into Quran, it says that وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. Never think that those who have died in the way of Allah, they are dead. They are not dead. They are alive. عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. They are fed by their Lord. So that is to say that although that body of that individual has died, but Quran says he is not dead, he is alive. So what is alive over there? The body doesn't live. It's that soul which is in that individual which is alive, which remains forever. If you look into the performance of the noble, for example, Marhum Ayatullah Rizma Bahauddini, and again the other nobles, they all said that if you intend an imam, if you could do a trip of ziyarat to that destination, well and good. If you couldn't, you just stay where you are. You just intend sincerely, you are there. The reason for that, it's that soul which has connected to that soul. So it's this root that has connected to that root. And the performance of Marhum Ayatullah Bahauddini was as such that when he travels to Mashhad with his, now he's got all his associates and students who were with him. Masjid al-Gawhar Shah, it's that mosque which is in the shrine of Imam Rida alayhi salatu wassalam. The distance of it from the noble grave, holy grave, may be 1,000 meters. When he comes to pay the visit, they have a little meeting, study circle, and then they say, let's go to visit, to pay the ziyarat to the Imam. He says, okay, come on, sit here, recite ziyarat Jami'at, ziyarat Aminullah. That's a small ziyarat in Mafatih al-Janazah. And then says that we've done the ziyarat. The students say that until we go to the grave, to the shrine, we don't feel as if we've done that ziyarat. He says that is it not as such that visitation means that you visit someone? So that far and near doesn't matter. If you sincerely visit him, that is, address him, no matter where you are, distance doesn't matter at all. So this is the same thing. Now because he has arrived to a high rank, for him distance doesn't matter. It's whether he sits here and addresses the Imam or gets to the shrine by the grave and addresses the Imam. So distance doesn't matter. So now all these are different levels and ranks which mu'mineen possess. Now for him, it's again amazing. Now he has access to the unseen, to the barzakh, etc. Says that one of his students died. Now this student who has died wasn't a very bright student. Was one of those regular average or below average students where when he used to explain something to him, he understood really, not really good, on an average or below average level. And then he has a fatwa in taharat, which later on changed. And then he says that to his students, do you remember that guy who was here who passed away a few years ago, the student? They say yes. He says that in barzakh he has blossomed so much, he has learned so much, that I had a debate with him, and after that debate my fatwa in one of these rulings of taharat has changed. So he frequents and speaks to those souls. So those souls, they live. No matter if it's the soul of a good person, soul of a bad person, that soul is baqi, that lives forever. Why? Because that soul is something that was given by Allah, sent by Allah to us, and Allah never dies. He lives forever. He is baqi, He is sarmadi. And again the same thing can be seen in Quran. It says that irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya. Addressing the soul, says Allah says irji'i, come back. Come back to your Lord. That is, it was the Lord who sent you to that individual, to that world, on temporary basis, on transit. Now come back, return to your Lord. So that is again another proof that this soul that is given to us, it's given to us and it's in this world on temporary basis, but when it returns, it's going to be returned and it's going to live there forever. That is why if we look into these aqaid that we have, it is said that, and this is our aqidah, that if your fundamentals, your basic beliefs were correct, that is your faith in tawheed, in nabuwwat, in qiyamat was right, then if you had shortcomings in furu, a person will be punished, and then after seeing the punishment he will be sent back to the heavens. But if the fundamentals were wrong, if they in the aqidah in Allah was wrong, or if aqidah in Allah was there, nabuwwat did not exist, or if that existed, faith in qiyamah did not exist, so that package was faulty, then no matter how many good things a person may have had committed and performed during his lifetime, everything will be thrown onto his face and he will be punished forever. Why? Because of that basis, that fundamentals were wrong. Again, in the battle of Badr, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, addressing the martyrs of Badr, he stands by the martyrs and says that هَلْ وَجَدْتُمْ مَا وَعَدَ رَبُّكُمْ حَقًّا. Addressing the bodies, everyone is dead. Then he says that, did you find what your Lord had promised you, haqq and right? There was a group of people with the Prophet, and they said to the Prophet that, why do you address them? They don't hear. In reply, Rasulullah says that إِنَّهُمْ أَسْمَعُ مِنْكُمْ, that they hear much better than you. Why? Because it's not that body which hears, it's the soul of that individual which hears. And for that soul, distance does not matter, near and far does not matter. That is why we are said that you in your heart call the Imam of your time or any one of the Ma'sumin, they get the message instantly without any delay. The moment you utter, you call him in your hearts, he responds. If we sincerely say salam to him in our hearts, we get the reply back, although we are deaf, because we don't hear. And the reason for that, for not hearing all that, it's that contaminated soul. And why is that contaminated? Because of all this wrong that we have, all the filth that we have in this world. So, traveling to the worlds with our spiritual side, that's something simple. If that if that soul was pure, if that soul was clean, so roaming in the material world with the body, but when it comes to the spiritual world, it's like these mobile phones which you have. Initially, when they give the phones to you, they put all these different bars. And after a few months, when they find you're a good customer, they raise the bar, then you can make international calls. And again, if you are a good customer, they say, okay, the roaming also will be removed for you, you can roam around. The same thing is over here in the spiritual world, that if a person is a good person, then all these different bars and barriers that are there, they are removed, and a person can frequent in all these different zones in the unseen. So, getting into his future and finding what is happening, that is simple, but we find people who are of that great caliber and have ascended to those high ranks. They can move back and forth in all these different worlds because they had come from the past and in the future. Now this past, present and future, again, that is something for us to understand. Otherwise, past, present and future makes no sense. When we say, addressing the Imam Sahib al-Zaman, that he is the Imam of time. So time means nothing, past, present and future, or this what you call the makan or the place factor. Again, that is for our ease that Allah has created. So this soul has to be corrected from all the filth that we have in us, and if a person corrects it, Quran says that, for example, when you offer your nocturnal prayers, inshallah we'll talk on this Salat al-Layl and nocturnal prayers also at some point, says that these prayers, that is the nocturnal prayers, if a person offers them, if one wants to ascend to these praise and high ranks, it is impossible for them to reach without these nocturnal prayers. Namaz al-Shab, Salat al-Layl. So all this, listen to me first. So without Salat al-Layl, it is impossible. No one has ever reached those high ranks without Salat al-Layl. So that is one of those important things that we ought to look into if it doesn't exist in us. Says that فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُمْ مِنْ قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنْ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. That a soul does not know what has been hidden for it, what joy has been hidden for it, بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, for the good which he does. Now what is that? That is among the things which is Salatul Layl. Now the pains and the desires of the body and the soul. As the human body, it has all these different pains and diseases. The same thing applies to the soul. So as the human body gets weak, gets strong, gets ill, falls ill, temperatures, so on and so forth, and if it doesn't cure that body, the body will die if it's not treated and cured. The same thing is with the soul. All these wrongdoings that we have, all these sins that we commit throughout our lifetime, we have to look into ourselves that if there is wrong in us, we correct it immediately. If we don't, a time comes when this soul dies. And when the soul dies, there's no difference between this human and an animal. But sometimes it becomes worse than an animal. And if this soul lives and corrects itself, it becomes so higher, it ascends so high, becomes better than angels. Why better than angels? Because angels are creation of Allah who are bound to be good. Man is not a creation who is bound to be good. He's got that tendency of doing good and doing bad. So when he corrects himself and ascends, he becomes better than the angels. And some riwayat say that أَفْضَلُ مِنْ أَنْبِيَاءِ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل, he becomes much better than the prophets that were sent to Bani Israel. So again, that is something which we have to look into. This nafs, if it is corrected, it becomes like that. The evil of an ill soul and the benefits of a healthy soul. When one purifies his soul, prepares and avails himself to attract the eternal favors of Allah. Who is this Allah? Rabbul Arbab. Now becomes a being ever living and a being who will remain forever. That is, if a human being corrects his soul, attaches to Allah, says that this attachment of his will result in him enduring forever. living forever. Abadiyul hayat, sarmadiyul baqa. And in a report, the Holy Prophet says that لولا أن الشياطين يحومون على قلوب بني آدم لنظروا إلى ملكوت السماوات والأرض. The Prophet says that had not the Satan occupied the hearts of the children of Adam, surely they would have seen wonders in the world of spirituality and in the skies and the earth. The reason why we don't see all that, it's because the hearts that we have, they have been possessed by shaitan. Possessed by shaitan meaning all this wrong that we do. Because of all that wrong, the soul has become polluted, as a result of which it doesn't see. So that is what is known in the books of akhlaq as hijab or the hujub, which are zulmani, the barriers which are the evil or the negative barriers, which are the filters that have polluted. So when these filters that are polluted are clean, you find that this soul automatically it attaches to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. The reason why this attachment is lacking is because of all those polluted and dirty filters that are around us. So removing some of them again enlightens part of the soul. Now the more these filters are cleaned, the more a person gets enlightened. And if nothing is cleaned, no attachment, no enlightenment at all. So in another place, the Holy Prophet, he says that إِنَّ لِي مَعَ اللَّهِ حَالَاتٍ لَا يَحْتَمِلُهَا مَلَكٌ مُقَرَّبٌ وَلَا نَبِيٌّ مُرْسَلٌ. Says that verily, with Allah, the Holy Prophet says that I have different states, different halat. Neither can a near angel, the angels who are muqarrab, who are near, they can perceive those halat, nor can any prophet ever perceive. Now he has reached a rank no one can ever reach. Now what are those stages? We don't know. And again, when it comes to this knowledge, this ma'rifah, if we sincerely ask Allah, He gives that knowledge, He provides. Knowledge, ilm that we talk about in Quran, ilm that we talk about in hadith, ilm that we talk about from all these pulpits and members, it's nothing that we can learn from books. Ilm is something which is given by Allah, which is granted and bestowed by Him. It says that al-ilmu nurun yaqdhifuhu Allah fi qalbi man yasha. That ilm is that nur, it's that light which Allah bestows into the heart of whom He wishes, He pleases. Now when He says that whom He wishes, He pleases, not randomly, no. We have to avail our hearts, and when we make them available, only then can that light of Allah shine in the hearts. Now that light of Allah can never shine in a contaminated, in a polluted heart. That heart has to be pure to attract purity. If that heart is not pure, it will never attract purity. So what do we mean by a heart has to be pure? All this filth again, all this wrong, it starts from the beliefs of an individual, and then continues with the performance of an individual, the actions of an individual, the ahkam, the do's, the don'ts, all that package that we have. And it's not a tough one, it's all these simple things that we have. Everything to be done, done, everything not to be done, not to be done, and that is how a person can put away all that filth and wrong and pollution from his heart. Because this heart of an individual, it is like a vessel. Now this vessel, if it is contaminated, you never pour honey in it, you never pour anything sweet in it, you never pour anything good in it. If you do that, it's going to pollute that goodness as well. So to attract purity, we have to have a clean heart, we have to have a pure heart. To attract ma'asumeen in our livelihood, we have to correct ourselves. We have to clean ourselves, and only then can ma'asumeen be attractive in our livelihood, in ourselves. And once ma'asumeen get into our zone, that is into our livelihood, then a person doesn't need to do anything. If they find you fit, then they will guide you. That is, if we avail that attraction in ourselves, Marhum Ayatullah Bahjati used to say that if you sincerely ask Allah, and that asking means by purifying yourself and your heart, that the walls and the doors, that is the entire creation of Allah, will become your ustad and it will teach you. You don't need to go to an ustad. That will become a teacher of yours. So that is, the attraction has to be from us. That is, we have to clear ourselves, clean ourselves, pure our heart, pure our soul, and put away all those contaminations so that that ruh can attract and can come to a point which is yaqeen, and that yaqeen is the same ilm which we talked about, that yaqdhifuhu Allah fi qalbi man yasha, which is a light which Allah bestows and makes it shine and sparkle and enlighten into the soul and the heart of an individual. Now when you look into the prayers, for example, now prayers, so much of importance has been given to it, salat, and in this sacred month of Ramadan. Now we offer a prayer, standing up, sitting down, takbir, ruku, sajda, tashahhud, salam, etc. So that prayer which we perform, it's the shell of the prayer, which is just the zahir of that prayer, the look of a prayer. But the reality of the prayer is something else, that is the soul and the heart. We have to see how much this soul has submitted, to God and what it is doing in the prayer. And if that prayer has truly submitted and is a true prayer, then a person benefits. Most of the prayers are not prayers. It's all these fake prayers or look-alike of a prayer. It's not a prayer itself. That is why we don't enjoy so much when we are praying. That is because the prayer, it's just a fake prayer. So we have to correct these fake prayers and faulty prayers of ours, so that the look-alike prayer becomes a real prayer, so that the person benefits. Riwayat say that a person, he may live for 70 years, 100 years maximum. Imam says that if we perform just one correct prayer throughout our lifetime, just one, then all the other faulty and wrong prayers will be compensated because of that one prayer. So it seems it's a big challenge that Ma'soom says that Ma'soom never lies, Allah never lies. As if that one prayer is performed correctly, everything else will be corrected and made up. So we have to try, and that is why we are said, especially in this month of Ramadan, it's a good time that we correct our prayers. Whatever if we are doing, if it takes 2 minutes, increase it to 2.5 minutes, 30 seconds more, 1 minute more. Ruku, sajda, do it to the best ability. If we recite, now one of the teachings that is being said to us is that, for example, you can start with your morning prayers, which is the shortest. It's just a 2-rakat prayer. If you take 2 minutes now, increase it to 5 minutes, for example. If you perform your ruku and the dhikr which you say in it, you say that 3 times Subhanallah, increase it to 7 times Subhana Rabbiyal Azim wa bihamdih. Nothing would happen. It is we who are training ourselves, and by that way we can correct our prayers. That attachment, that love, that bond to the Creator and the prayer can be increased by these top-ups that we have in our prayers. And that way, a bit more concentration, a bit more attention can be increased in our prayers. The same thing in sajda. When it comes to sajda, increase it to 7 times Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih. 7 times. Marhum Kashi, I have said it over here. He is among the ulama who lived about 40-50 years ago. A student says that I came to the madrasa in Isfahan. And when I come to that madrasa, I see that there is as if this recital, Subhun, Quddusun, Rabbul Malaikatu wal Ruh, which means that glorified and pure is Him to whom Rabbul Malaikatu wal Ruh, who is the Lord of the angels and the Spirit. This recital is being heard as if everything that is the creation is singing it in the chorus. It says as if the bricks of the walls, they are saying, the leaves in the trees in that madrasa, they are saying that recital. And I was amazed and shaken that what is that? What do I hear? It says I followed from where it is originating. I come to this madrasa, to one of these rooms, I see this shaykh in sajda saying Subbuhun Quddusun Rabbul Malaikatu wal Ruh. Says that his recital, who is just one person in sajda, was so sincere that the entire creation follows him. So that is a sincere prayer, if a person performs that sajda sincerely, by practice it is possible. And this path of sayr and suluk, that is, they say that all this is by practice. No one becomes a master in these fields instantly. So we have to look into our prayers. If we could correct them, we could correct everything else in a better way. Now this heart of an individual, if it is purified, that knowledge of Allah is bestowed into it. Allah sparkles that heart or enlightens that heart, and that is by that knowledge which He bestows into it, and that is from that lawh mahfuz onto the heart of this individual. Everything is downloaded, poured. So when many a times you find people that they might not have attended or seen many of the great asakid, etc., but by the performance and their knowledge, you find they are connected to somewhere else. They can solve problems easily, and that is because of that connection with the unseen, with the existence of Allah, and that again turns back to the purification of a soul of an individual. So knowledge without purification is not knowledge. So knowledge is given to an individual with purification. Purification means putting away of all that filth and contamination, that is the sins that are present in an individual. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in a hadith says that وَلَا تَدْخُلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ بَيْتًا فِيهِ كَلْبٌ. Now this is, you can have it in two senses. The first is that the Prophet says that the angels never do not enter a house wherein there is a dog. That is the dog, a barking dog which we have today in every house. So a house where there is a dog, angels do not frequent, do not come. So that is one. The other is that a heart wherein there is a dog, angels do not enter. That is the heart of an individual, the soul of an individual. If there is a dog, meaning that if there is contamination, if there is najasat, if there is impurity in that heart, everything which is filth, if that exists in that heart, the angels will never come to that heart. Why? Because angels are a substance with which the ruh has been created, which is the same, but they can come to that place only when that contamination doesn't exist. And if that contamination is there, they will not come. So hearts, they have to be obedient to Allah. When it comes to rage, when a person is angry and he just wants to show his anger and rage and wrath to an individual, again that is a contamination which pollutes the heart of an individual, and that does not attract the angels. Ayatullah al-Uzma Shaykh Hassan Zadeh Amudi, who is among the greatest ulama today, it is reported from him, about 30-40 years ago this incident unfolds. In summer, the ulama, because Qum is hot, many of the ulama, they move to cooler places and they continue with their lectures and teachings and studies circle to the different spots. He says that he moved from Qum to Amul. Amul is a cooler place and about 400-500 kilometers from Qum and about 400 kilometers from Mashhad. Comes to Amul, and it was the summer, and the pattern or the schedule of the day was as such that after his studies, after his lectures, he comes home, has his lunch, and there is a little nap. And the children at that time were making so much of noise and nuisance in the home that he couldn't rest. He just gets up and he is a bit sharp to the kids. Now when I say he is a bit sharp, not like us, when we get hot, we just say whatever we want. Now, delicate people like him, when they are sharp or when they want to show their rage and anger, it's in a very delicate way. And then he says that I've done something wrong. This shouldn't have happened. So people who are of that great caliber, they count, and the quality control which they have also, it's very delicate, very delicate. And then he says that I broke a heart of a kid, a child's heart. Goes to the shop, gets some sweets and candy, gives it to them. Still he is not satisfied. No, this was wrong which I did. I shouldn't have had sweat at them. I shouldn't have been sharp at them. He says sorry to them. Again, he is not satisfied himself. Travels from Amul all the way to Tabriz, to his Ustad, Marhum Ayatullah Sayyid Hassan Ilahi, who is the elder brother of Marhum Ayatullah Muhammad Hussain Tabatabai, the author of Tafsir al-Mizan. Comes to his Ustad and then knocks at the door. Tabriz from Amul, it's about 1,000 kilometers. Now just for that little wrong which he has done, he wants to see his Ustad that what should I do? What is the cure for this disease? That is, why was I sharp at that? Comes to the Ustad is amazed to see his student after a long time, and then how come you are here? And then before he could say anything to his Ustad, the Ustad says, Marhum Ayatullah Qazi Tabatabai, who is the Ustad of Sayyid Hassan Ilahi, that is the Ustad of Hassan Zade Amul, says that he had a communication with me. Now he is someone who has passed away 40 years ago. That Marhum has a communication with his student saying that this Hassan Zadeh wants to be an associate and a friend of Imam Zaman with this attitude. What attitude? That is, he is a bit sharp. He was a bit sharp with his kids. And then he says, I was writing this note to my brother in Qom. So all these communications, he is in Amul, he is in Tabriz, he is in Barzakh, the other one is in Qom. A quick communication is being created, and then he is ashamed. He said that this is what I had done. This is what had happened, as a result of which, that Marhum in Barzakh, it's moved and shaken that he gives the communication to his student for him to deliver the message to him. So purity, it has to be very strong. That screening system has to be really strong. Now everything is a lesson to me, just a message being delivered to myself in a louder voice. So that, when we talk about ethics, it's all these different quwa that we say, all these different lusts and desires and wants that are present in a soul of an individual. They have to be controlled. Rage of an individual has to be controlled. Lust has to be controlled. Sights have to be controlled. Hearing has to be controlled. Everything has to be controlled in a way that it is controlled by Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, monitored by Allah Jalla wa Ala. May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala help us in understanding these great sayings from Ma'asumeen. And if you look into the riwayat, again it says that in as-salat mi'rajul mu'min, that prayers, they are mi'raj. Mi'raj means the ascension of a mu'min. Where do they ascend? That is, it ascends from this low world to a point which is the unseen and which is the existence of Allah. So if that prayer of ours is corrected, everything else is corrected. If that prayer is not corrected, everything else will not be corrected. May Allah Jalla wa Ala help us in these sacred nights and this holy month of Ramadan, in knowing ourselves, in knowing our Lord, in understanding ourselves, and in understanding these great sayings from Ma'asumeen. There are a lot of requests from mu'mineen for du'as. There are many who are very critically ill, who have requested for du'as and who have hopes from this majlis. We ourselves, each one of us, is critically ill from the spiritual side of affairs. Each one of us, without any exception. So we all need prayers for ourselves. We ask the Imam of Time. This month is the month of the Imam of Time, for him to correct us, to help us in correcting ourselves, in purifying ourselves, and in putting away all this contamination that is in us. May Allah Jalla wa Ala grant shifa to all those who are ill and ailing, sabr and ajr to the people who have been hit by this catastrophe in Pakistan, and may He grant izzat, fame and dignity to all Muslims around the world, defamation and dhillat to everyone who opposes Muslims worldwide. May He Tabarak wa Ta'ala expedite and hasten the arrival of the Imam of time, and for all who have requests and hope from this majlis a few times. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Amma yujibul mustarra idha da'ahu wa yakshifu as-su'. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد. Born and raised in this city, that is your hometown, you'll move to another city and you intend to settle there for long term, again that will be your hometown again, your second hometown. So if you stay there, you'll have to have your prayers full and your fasts observed. And if you travel back to this place and you haven't abandoned the city as your hometown, again you will have to offer your prayers in full, and fasts also have to be observed. If a daughter gets wedded and moves on to her husband's house, and that is going to be in another city or another country, again, if she hasn't abandoned the father's house as her hometown, that will be her first hometown, and the second hometown will be the house which she is going to be living with her husband. So it's more than one hometown, and that is permitted by the Mujtahideen in addition to the hometown where she has been raised and brought up.
Maulana, can you clarify what you mean by abandon?
Abandon? Abandon means that i'raz kar diya. For example, if you were living in Hyderabad once upon a time, long ago, and you don't intend to go back to that place.
So there has to be a niyyah involved.
Niyyah and your practice. So that is your niyyah, your intention, that you don't intend to go back, so you have abandoned that hometown, so you can make another place as your hometown plus another place. So sometimes they say 2 or 3 can be your hometowns, which will be your places where you live. Your fasts will be valid, your prayers will be full. Coming back to our topic, and that is on the ascension to prosperity. Now, among the creations that Allah has, He's got a creation called the angels. He has a creation called the jinn, made of fire. He has a creation called the man, the human being, made up of clay. So it's these 3 creations He has. All of that will be given to you just for that congregation and the Jama'at prayers. So the prayers, if anything was added on to them, may that be a rukn, may that be anything wajib, again the prayers are okay. And again, the other thing was regarding mahram and non-mahram, which we talked about yesterday. There is a set of people who are mahram to you, that is, you cannot marry them. There are a set of people who are not mahram to you. So they are those whom you can marry. Again, there are these wrong misunderstandings with regards to the non-mahrams. I'll just specifically tell them who they are. For example, chachi, mumani, khalu, puppa, all of these are non-mahrams. So, if it's your uncle's wife, may that uncle be maternal or paternal, that's going to be non-mahram for you. If it's your aunt's husband, again that is not mahram to you for the men. And again, that aunt, may that be your mother's sister or your father's sister, their husband, he is not going to be mahram to you. And again, when it comes to jade, they were the husband's brother, may that be the elder brother or the younger brother, again they are not mahram to the wife. And the Samdis again, Sadi, although they say that it's Adi Gharwadi, but still she is So, Jiju and Jija and all these, they are not mahram, so you have to observe that hijab from these individuals at all times. And again, if they don't observe hijab, you have to protect your eyes from them. The other question was regarding traveling and hometowns. So it may so happen, it's the ruling of the Mujtahideen, they allow you to have more than one hometown. For example, if you were born, so that $1 has to be paid as the penalty for each fast which they will not be observing. So for the month, you pay $30 as the penalty for not fasting, as the fidya, and then you are okay. And the other thing is that if, due to whatever reason, if a person is traveling or if he is ill, or due to the long-term illnesses, he cannot fast, the teaching is that the month, it is a blessed month. The month itself has a sanctity, has a hurma which needs to be observed. So if a person is traveling or if he is not fasting, it doesn't mean that you just be as you were throughout the year. That month has to be observed. The respect and the sanctity of the month has to be observed, so that at least openly eating and drinking is not done. So that is again another small reminder that a respect to the month, just abstain from eating, drinking, smoking, whatever it is, if you are not fasting due to whatever reason, but the sanctity of the month be observed. The other question was when joining the Jamaat in prayers. So it may so happen that the Imam might be a bit slow or he might be a bit fast, and you may result in making up more sajdas or more rukus, etc. Or you may recite a bit more than the Imam. So what is going to happen? The prayers are fine. Although a rukun has been added to your prayers, which is the ruku, although you've made up extra sajdas, doesn't matter. For the Jamaat prayers, everything is waived because you are in the Jamaat. So if your intentions were to do a lot of mustahabat in the prayers and you couldn't do it, because you are in the Jamaat, again, that is all compensated. The reward that is given for the Jamaat prayers, it's huge and so vast that whatever you had in mind, your intentions were, maybe many more. Now out of these three creations, man is that creation who is a substance or a compound of a body and a soul, which was mentioned yesterday. And the whole idea is that we correct the soul or purify the soul in a way that it connects back from where it has come, that is from the watan or the hometown which it has originated, and that is the existence of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So the hometown of this soul, of this nafs, is Allah, as we say, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And when we talk about this subject about ma'rifatun nafs, knowing your soul, it is to know that from where it has originated, where is the destination, what is it doing here. So all these questions, if you analyze them, answer them to yourself, you will come to know the soul up to a certain extent. Now many a times you find people who are so pure and so noble that for them the higher and higher ranks of elevation, it's easy. Among them that could be named, it's Marhum Ayatollah Khonsari, among the great ulama of the past century. And it was as such that the last week of his life, he was very ill. And people, they used to come to visit him. So the wife, the children, they used to show the people, the guests who were coming in to visit. And when they had left, they knew who came to visit and who has left. Once in the morning, the wife, she says that we hear someone is in the guest room with the Ayatollah Khonsari. But no one knocked the door. And no one opened the door. There's Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ من الله. اللهم كن وليك حجة الإنسان صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ولدينا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك الدوار وتمتعه فيها طويلا. Just some quick reminders. There have been some questions that have been coming through, and it will be good to reply them from here. Well, first of all, it's the sacred month of Ramadan, and just a quick reminder about this month of Ramadan, that never say Ramadan only. Ramadan is the name of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, and in the ahadith and riwayat Ma'sumin, they have asked us never to say just Ramadan. When you want to say the month of Ramadan, Shahru Ramadan, or Shahrullah, or the blessed month, the Mubarak month, like that. So that is the teaching that we have. We have been taught to address the month as the month of Ramadan. That's one. Secondly, now those of the mu'mineen who cannot fast due to long-term illnesses, for them fast has been waived. They don't need to fast, but they need to give a little penalty, which is $1 per fast, and that way they can skip the fast.